What do you think was the most important factor in helping you get into Northeastern? Journey. So let's kick things off, man. Abdul, so tell the viewers a little bit about your story.
Yeah, sure. My name is Abdul Kadir. I mostly go by Abdul because Abdul Kadir is a handful, mouthful. Yeah, so I grew up in Chennai. A little bit about my background. Me and Casey, as he said, we are childhood friends. We went to high school together, and um, I I chose science in 12th grade because why not? And then after that, I decided to go to SRM to pursue. I got interested in computers, so I decided to do computer science engineering. And after that, I was not really satisfied with my education, and so I thought I want to pursue further studies, but I didn't want to stay in India. I wanted to work in big tech and like the Silicon Valley, and all the companies were at the forefront of technology. They're all in the US. So I thought, yeah, the US was a good destination. So I started looking into universities in US in my third year and final year. And that began the whole process of, applying, just understanding the whole process of applying to universities in the US and what sort of exams that you need to give. Started going to the US embassy in Chennai a lot, and just attending seminars. And then I was still I'm just considering the idea, but like towards the end, I became more sure of it, and yeah, then I decided to give the GRE and the TOEFL, and that's when it really hit me, and it kind of solidified my the whole process.
SRM, let's talk about SRM for a bit. You said in the third year you decided that it's now time for you to start applying to or think about applying to US universities and so on. So what were some things you did at SRM that you think set you up really well for the application process?
Let's see. I mean, so I would say the entire like the preparation for the application and everything was kind of mostly self-motivated and just self-guided, because sure there were so SRM in fact has a student semester abroad program, which is actually very good. And I was considering that. They have certain partnerships with universities like MIT even. So, but I'm not sure like how it works. I looked into that briefly, but it was like really expensive, and it was not based on merit, I think. So I quickly dropped that idea, but I just sort of kept doing research just on my own on the side. And with the US, it's the preparation, like the journey, it's really, you need to start at least a year and a half in advance, just because that's how the application process works. There's a lot of details, a lot of things involved with the visa process and everything. So I was cognizant of that because I was thinking about it from my second year. So I knew all these things, and that kind of helped me, and it didn't feel last minute.
Yeah. So did you do any research internships or projects that you think strengthened your application?
Oh yeah. I did internships. I did quite a few internships, but not research. I don't know. I would have liked to have done. Maybe I just didn't seek out those opportunities, but I really liked building things early on. Like in my first year, I really got into mobile app development. Started out with Android. Was making few small Android apps.
Yeah.
Then sort of branched out into web development, and then that got me interested. I wanted to understand how the backend works, so I did a little bit of backend. And yeah, I was just slowly learning things, whatever satisfied my curiosity. And so yeah, that resulted in a lot of mobile app internships.
So do you think research internships are like necessary for getting into MS programs?
So that depends. So if the university, if you want a research focused program, then yeah, sure, it'll definitely help you. If the goal of your program is to publish a paper at the end of your course to get published in one of the top peer-reviewed journals, then yeah, that will definitely strengthen your application. But I wouldn't say it's necessary. A master's program is usually a master's level course, assumes you have certain um, you know understanding in whatever, or like foundational knowledge in whatever field you're pursuing. So yeah, research papers will definitely look good, but there are certain other types of master programs. The one which I did is kind of more industry focused, and it allows for people who are from a different discipline to transition into a field such as computer science.
Yeah.
And Northeastern, I believe, has a very popular program that allows people from different disciplines to do this master's course.
Yeah. So tell me more about your university shortlisting process. Like, how did you decide what universities you wanted to apply to in the first place? And yeah, let's start there. How did you decide what universities to apply to?
Yeah, so as you know, every aspirant who wants to go study in the US, I did my initial research, and I just sort of found this common language being used by students. Like, students will categorize universities into buckets like safe, moderate, ambitious. So I initially started off, just created like few spreadsheets, listed down 20 universities. And like, I also had a budget in mind. I mean, there is no limit to how many universities you can apply, but since each university has like an application fee, obviously I was limited. So I had a goal of applying to 8 universities. I ended up applying to 7. But yeah, I kind of, after the initial 20 universities, I just kind of came up with that number based on factors like the ranking, US ranking, and like the computer science for computer science, and like just the employment rates, after students graduate from these universities, the location. And then from 20, I came down to this number, 8 universities.
Got it.
2 of them were ambitious, and then yeah, a few of them were moderate, and the rest were like safe.
Okay, so you used the ranking of the program, budget considerations, like how much it costs, and location. Those are the 3 things, and employment rates, 4 things.
Yeah, that's about
Got it. How did you look for the first 20? So you said you had 20 universities on your spreadsheet. How did you go out looking for the first 20?
So I was mainly targeting the West Coast and the East Coast, right? Because most of the big technology companies are concentrated in these areas. So, and I was looking at a good split of like public, like state universities, that are funded by the government, and like private universities. So like that is, I was just like an ad hoc, like just randomly just selected 20, and then the final 7 where that there's a subset. Like I considered, compared a little bit more, and then yeah, I would say that I would have liked to have spent more time on the initial like the final number, but I was satisfied with it. And in the end, I just decided that it doesn't matter where I go, because the end, like I wanted to get like a good job. So the universities that I'd come up with, I thought that yeah, they were good enough. They were all like reputed programs. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So let's talk about Northeastern. So what do you think was the most important factor in helping you get into Northeastern?
Yeah, just by the questions in their application, the thing that was most striking was they asked questions like how many lines of code you've written. They were very specific. Like, what is your proficiency in these languages or in these operating systems? So to me, it looked like they really cared, like how much, because Northeastern, as I said, their programs are very inclusive. Like they admit students from other disciplines, so they want to make sure how much understanding. So they are trying to get a holistic view of like what is your background, and so that I felt was interesting. And since I have done quite a few internships and I have decent amount of projects, so like I was very confident in my answers. I had written lots of code, and so I feel like those internship and projects definitely gave me an edge in my application.
Internships and projects, yeah. Okay. And what about your GRE score and SOP? Do you think those added anything to your application as an X factor?
To be very honest, I am not sure how it works. I feel like the admissions committee, I mean, if you haven't like an insider, maybe they can shed some light on the process, but to me it's like a black box. So I just tried the best score. I would have liked to have gotten a better score. Like I was aiming to get at least 320 and above. I got 317 on my GRE. um I've heard some crazy things, like people getting like a 310 and then getting into like a their super ambitious university. So it's one of the things. It's certainly not the only thing that the admissions committee look at. So yeah, I guess it did match their like whatever like their expectation, and then maybe they like something else on my application. But yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. So what are your stats for the audience, just so they know?
So you mean like my scores and
Yeah,
my
what is
GPA and
what was
everything?
your GRE score? What was your college GPA? And how many internships did you do?
Sure. So I scored an 8.8 in my undergrad, and my GRE score was 317. And let's see if I remember, TOEFL was something like 114 or something. And number of internships, I'm not sure. I think I did an internship almost every year, so of when I was in university. So probably around 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. Okay, so at Northeastern, you're at Northeastern now. What were your initial impressions after getting to the US? How is it different compared to college in India? What are the main differences?
So yeah, the first thing obviously was the culture shock.
Mm.
And yeah, just coming to the US, it just felt, I'd only dreamed about it, and then the getting here was, the initial experience was like surreal, but like yeah, once that settled, and then university started, everything started getting real. Like the most at least I don't want to generalize like the college experience in India, but like from if I have to compare Northeastern and SRM, I would say definitely like the we had a lot of assignments, which I liked,
At
because
Northeastern?
yeah, at Northeastern,
Mm.
like a lot of the courses they had lots of assignments and projects. So that I feel like helps in cementing the knowledge that you gain from your lectures. You immediately get to apply it on the assignment, which I felt was lacking at SR.
Mm. So it's a lot more practical for you at Northeastern.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm. Got it. And what are some things you did to have fun? What were some fun moments in your graduate program?
Yeah. So a lot of these master's programs are lots of international students, right? And they're all kind of coping with this this culture shock. They're away from home. Everyone is kind of like uncertain. I think the universities here in the US in general, they do a great job of being very inclusive. In Northeastern especially, they have a very nice uh, student programs office. They held events, and there's a lot of American traditions and holidays, and they would always, do events at university. So yeah, I got to celebrate Thanksgiving, Halloween, get to learn a little bit more about, culture, and a nice safe space for all the students to come and mingle. And, it's a good,
Nice,
yeah, good way to
nice.